trying to deploy a React Express app to Heroku, and you're having a hard time. So just to let you know, you're probably not the only one. For some strange reason, it causes a lot of problems. There's a lot of problems to deal with. There's a lot of small things that could go wrong, I guess. So deploying to Heroku is not as simple with the React Express app as, for example, with other apps like Ruby on Rails. So let me just show you guys how I got a React Express app to be deployed to Heroku. I'm a coding tutor, and I had to help students with this. And every time I tried to help them, we ran into problems. And for some reason, all the information that was out there was not sufficient to get it deployed successfully. So let me just show you what I ended up doing with my student, and we successfully deployed it to Heroku. So, okay, so first of all, if you look at my code right here on the left-hand side, you'll see I have this React Express Heroku folder, and inside of it, I have a node setup. This is a node setup, an Express with Express, that is. And inside of that folder, inside of the root folder, React Express Heroku, I have a client folder. So this is very important. I put the front end, the React stuff, inside the client folder, and everything else outside of it is the backend. So that's very important. If you're a new student, if you're going through a boot camp and you're confused about this, this is incredibly important to understand, to try to separate those two. There's the backend and there's the front end. So the front end is in this client folder, the backend is outside of it, okay? Both of them, this is also very important, have different package.json. Very important. So this is the backend package.json, and this is the front end package.json, right? Okay, so let's get to it. So a few things. Let's see. So before we get started, I recommend that you make sure that you have the Heroku. Let me see. The command line interface installed, so you can use Heroku through the command line. So let me show you what that means. And I'll share the link to this in the description of this video. So make sure you go on, if you haven't done so already, make sure you go through this process right here. So basically installing Heroku through the command line, and make sure, so that way you can use Heroku through the command line. Okay, so I'll assume that you've done that already, or that you're gonna do that and then come back and continue with this video. Okay, so what is next? Then you gotta make sure that you add the following line to your backend package.json. So this one right here, not the client one, the backend one. So this one right here in the root, make sure you add the following script, the Heroku post build script. So after you deploy your Node Express app to Heroku, it will run the following commands. It will cd into the client, it will run npm install, and it will do an npm install, a bunch of other things basically, and finally do an npm run build. Okay, so you got to have that in there in order to deploy the React part of this app. Okay, so very important. What else? I also did, okay, here's the thing. The first time I ran this, it didn't work. For some reason, this command right here did not execute, or did not execute the way I hoped or I expected. So what I did instead is I ran npm build. So I recommend you doing the same thing. So, okay, let me just show you guys. Let me clear this out. I am in the root directory right here. This is my root directory right here. If I do an ls, there's the client folder, right? Just like over here in Atom. So I cd into client, and I recommend you do the same thing and do an npm build. Okay? So I'm not going to run that right now, but run that command. That should build all the assets and everything you need for the React app to be deployable and ready for production. Okay, so then go back to the root directory and make sure you push everything up. Let's say you push it up to GitHub and well, not to Heroku just yet. So just push it up to GitHub. So do a git add, git commit, and git push to GitHub. Okay. All right. So what's next? All right. Next thing, very important, in the whatever server file you have. Yours might be called something different. Mine's is called server.js. This is the main root node server file. So in this one, make sure you add the following two things. This, and again, I'm going to put this in the description part of the video. So you add this set of code. Okay. So this will tell it to serve React when somebody goes to the root app. So if you have your app set up in a way where if they go to the root of your app, that you will show the React app, then this is what you need to include. And that's basically what it's saying. It's saying that if somebody goes to the homepage to serve the file in the client. So let the client basically display the output and not Node or the backend. Okay. You don't need to know all the details. What you need to know is this is necessary in order to serve React to the browser. Okay. So again, I'll share this in the description of the video. What else? Then you also need to add, let me see. You need to add this right here. So again, I'm going to share this with you in the description. So this is to whitelist, to make sure there's no sort of course issues. Okay, cross-origin request issues, which is like such an annoying problem to have. I cannot stress it enough. I keep running into it, and I just absolutely hate it. It's annoying every time it happens. So what I did is, when I worked with my student, all I had was this item right here, and it worked. Okay, but I had to add this right here, which you will get once you deploy to Heroku. You will get a URL to your Heroku app. And that's what I added right here. Okay. So this is not known at this point. So before deployment, you don't know what this is. So I knew about this once I deployed it to Heroku. Okay. So I added this. So make sure that when the server gets a request, that it's either from one of these three. Okay. Again, try just this at first. Then try this, depending on the port number you're using. And we'll come to the port number here in a second. So, and then finally this, okay? So if you want to be on the safe side, put all three. Should be relatively safe to do, especially if you're doing this for educational purposes. No big deal, okay? So what else? So add that. What else? Okay, then we need to add, let's add a, I didn't have that in my notes. We need to add a proxy to React. So go into the client. We need to specify a proxy, and then go to package.json. So this is a different package.json than the one I showed you before, and add this. So and make sure the port number is whatever the port number of your Node Express server is. So meaning, if you go to server, I used 8080 for the port. That's the default one if there isn't another one specified. So again, in package.json on the client side, add a proxy line right here. Make sure it's outside of any curly braces, so it's not within a different object. It's a key value in itself. Okay, it stands by itself. So make sure you add that. All right, simple enough. What else? And then finally. So the way I have my app set up is, and this is just, I created this for demonstration purposes, for the front end. And let me show you guys how my files look like. So in app.js, for example, when I make a request, in the following way, right there. So it's in my case, I'm using AXIOS. You might be using something different to make your API call. So I just use /API. So that will just go to the root domain, the root URL of your app, followed by /API. And that's what this is doing. Okay. So a lot of things could be could make this not work. So I'll keep that in mind. This is a very tricky situation. But if you do all of that stuff that I just showed you, you have a good chance of finally being able to deploy to Heroku. Okay, so what I did is so you do a git push. So if I don't think I made any changes. No, nothing. I wonder if I can just maybe just let's add a space right here, save it. So let's do a git add, git commit, demonstration purposes, and I'll push it up to GitHub first. I'm going to switch tabs here for a quick second. I'm just going to stop the React server. You don't have to do that. I just did that because I don't like it running if I'm not using it. This is all on my local computer. This is not on Heroku anywhere else. Now finally comes Heroku. So git push Heroku master. So if I hit enter, that will try to deploy or push the code up to Heroku and build it and deploy it. Okay, so before I run it, just real quick, this only works if you follow that very first link that I shared with you. If you follow that tutorial, so you got to set up Heroku command lines first, right? Very important. So so before I do that, let me just show you. You got to make sure that you have Heroku listed right here. Okay, I have it right there. So that's why it knows what Heroku is. So in case you get a error message saying I don't know what Heroku is, it might be because you haven't set up Heroku or you haven't associated Heroku with this with your repo yet. So you still got to do that part. So again, git push Heroku master. So if I hit enter, and this is going to take a while. It's going to have to build everything and then try to, install everything. It does npm install, blah, 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 blah. So it takes a couple minutes. Some apps take longer than others. Keep that in mind. So let's just wait. So while we're waiting, let's just see if there's anything else that I might have forgotten about. Again, experiment with this whitelist stuff a little bit. And it turns out that I had actually process.env.port with Heroku actually picks a random port number, it seems like. So that was kind of annoying. So this one didn't work, but it worked on my students' Heroku account. So I had to add this. Keep that in mind. Make sure, again, you build within client, npm build, before you push it up to GitHub and Heroku. What else? I'm trying to think of all the different ways your code might not deploy to Heroku. Oh, almost forgot. Very important. I'm glad that I did this review right here while we're waiting. You still need to add a build pack. Okay, so what does that mean? Let me show you guys what I mean by that. You still got to add okay, this is my repo. You got to add I believe it's a Node build pack. I don't know if it's React or Node. If I can spell it right. Let me get rid of this annoying. There you go. So you still got to add a build pack to the Heroku. What was the word? The Heroku app that you're trying to deploy to. So I believe there's a Node one. And if I click on documentation, I hope I just get the one line that I'm looking for. What I ran is actually, there's literally just one line that I ran. Let me see if I can find that one line. Nope, that's, wow, okay. I was pretty sure I was gonna find it there. Let me see. It's something along the lines of Heroku add build pack or set build pack set. Like it's like this, but there's a shorter version of that I'm looking for. Come on. This is, I think this is the, like specify the, I don't think you need to specify the exact location of the build pack. I think there's, Heroku is smart enough to know what you mean by just specifying. Let me see. Let me add, let me make the search a little more specific. Command. Yeah, let me add the keyword command. Okay, and I think at this point also the deployment should hopefully be complete. Heroku build pack set. There it is. Yes. So you run this, but you replace Ruby, nothing else. Everything else is the same with Node.js. Okay? So run that. That will set the build pack to Node. So do this before you deploy to Heroku. Almost forgot. Very important. So I think you guys, with all that I mentioned, you should be in very good shape to successfully deploy. Okay, so let's check on our deploy. And what I like to do when I deploy is I like to look for, oh look, there's that post build stuff that I was telling you about. So this is when after it's done deploying or building the node stuff, it will move on to Heroku post build, which remember we specified right here. Okay, so that's good news. You want to see that message. Everything looks good. The one that you really want to see that's super important is build succeeded. If you see that, that's very good news. That doesn't mean it's going to work exactly the way you would like. It's possible that it got deployed, but only the back end, and it's not serving the React part. But this is definitely a message you want to see. So what I do usually now, I do Heroku open. That's one way to open it. Or you could just copy, paste this URL right there. So if I do Heroku open, by the way, this is the one that I whitelisted. So if I do Heroku open, and there's my app. And what I did, I added just a form. I just created this for demonstration purposes. So down here, I added a name and message. That's how I test my interaction with my backend. Before we do that, let's make sure we open up the inspect. And what I do is in here, if I refresh, you got to make sure you don't get any sort of 500 error 500 or error 400 connected to the backend messages. I was getting that before till I fixed it, so nothing here, because when I load my app, it was supposed to connect to the backend to load, try to load something. So that looks good. So far so good. So if I type in Jeff and Jeff is saying hi and I submit it, that's the message that I sent back from the backend. So it's working. So this is very exciting for me because, like I said, I never understood why they made deploying to Heroku such a hassle. So I finally got it resolved with one of my students, and I'm very happy. And I really wanted to share this with you guys because I know how irritating it is, how annoying it is, and yeah, and if you run into any sort of issues, please let me know. I would love to look into it. I'm not a coding ninja per se, but I am. I love solving problems, and yeah, I would love to help you. If you want to schedule a session with me, feel free to do that as well. Just go to my site, avontutor.com. But this is not a plug for my business per se. This is more about helping you guys avoid major headaches and stress and anxiety. So I hope this helps. Please subscribe. If you like to follow Coding Tutor, posting on topics like these. All right, with that said, take care, and yeah, talk to you next time if you subscribe, that is. Take care. Bye.